the computer. Okay. So, Barry, I was talking to Sharon this morning. You know, she's not allowed to attend the Zoom meetings
Why is that?
because she's part of the board of Art Fest Fort Myers, and the director doesn't want any information, any shared information. It's weird. I was talking to her for like 45 minutes this morning. She's going on vacation 2 days before the jury. So she won't be a juror in September, but she wants to be a juror again the next time we do it.
So why are you calling about sharing information?
I don't know. Again, it's a new board.
That's so weird.
I know. The only maybe they just don't want to share information with artists, because she says she does attend Art Fair Insiders has a monthly Zoom meeting for show directors, and I've attended that a couple of times.
They allow her to do that one?
What?
They allow her to do that one?
Yeah. Yeah, she can talk to other show directors. I guess they just don't want her talking to other artists. They're afraid
that's kind of...
Maybe they have secrets.
Oh my goodness.
So anyway.
I called Barry early today. Apparently I'm in hot water with Amy Under and the crew over there, because I speak up my mind and apparently didn't say anything positive about her.
Yeah, but you know, you're not. They can watch the Zoom meeting.
Yeah, I know. I don't. You know, the thing is, like, if I was saying something that was not true, I would feel guilty about it. But I don't think I say anything negative.
Yeah, but you know something? The problem is everybody sees truth differently.
I know.
You know, from an artist perspective or a show staff perspective, they see things, sometimes they see things totally opposite. I'll never forget.
I know.
I got thrown out of Brandywine Arts Festival. He wouldn't even send me an application after I did the show. And I asked why, and he says, well, the staff said you drove your truck in early and blocked the aisle. And I said, well, I was only following instructions. I was told by the staff I could drive my truck in. And I parked to one side, so I didn't block the aisle.
Well, you know,
I never got back in again.
Like you missed something?
Well,
like you went out of business, you lost your home. I mean, come on.
I lived there.
That
was like 20 minutes from my house when I was living in Wellington.
Listen, anybody that runs a show like that, you know, does you know, it doesn't deserve our participation. And I think she's not showing up for a different reason. Oh, it's a similar reason.
No, I mean, she said she's not allowed to. They don't want her to.
She says, keyword, she says. I think it's something else.
I don't.
All I'll tell you is I'm not going to discuss it, but I'm going to tell you that if I want to do an event that weekend, I better apply to Mount Dora.
Why?
Because I think that's what it's about. I didn't say that. This is a public thing. I'm not saying that.
No, I know what I know what you're saying, but I would think that their jurying is fair. Just like Howard Allen's. No.
Oh, that was, oh God, that's so slow.
You know, I must have done something because they put me, you know what? I followed all the rules. I applied before anybody
but-
else.
But you're
And-
on the waiting list. It's not like you were rejected.
No, have you ever been on his waiting list? Look at it, set it and forget it. There's no way. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I'm sorry, Barry.
I don't care. It's a
Yes, you
minor
care.
glitch. It isn't like it's Cherry Creek or Coconut Grove. Even though the money's good, but you know, I kind of like the prestige of doing, Cherry Creek and Fort Worth, and actually saying that it makes me feel good, you know.
Hey, I got one for you, and I was discussing this with Sharon this morning. Barbara Nelson is a jeweler from the Chicago area, and she's a good friend of mine. She stopped at my house yesterday on the way home from Long's Park, and we were talking about booth pictures where she had applied to a show with her booth picture, and they said her booth looks too clean. And she actually took the booth picture at a show because she was driving east to do a show, and I loaned her a camera and a tripod. And I had the camera was all set up, and she shot her booth picture, and she dropped it off on the way home. And so I made a suggestion from now on. Say, instead of titling your booth picture just booth picture, say booth picture from so-and-so show. So
I wouldn't do that. And you know something?
well,
Any show that says there's no such thing as you can't get too clean. That's exactly what you want. I would ignore that.
well, okay, but the point is, it was a show she didn't get into, and that was the critique.
Yeah, and it bothers her. Like, so what? So
Well,
so there's
well,
9,999 more opportunities.
wait,
Like,
let
big
me,
What
deal.
happened in
Barry,
St. Louis after?
Yes.
let me finish.
Okay.
So Sharon said, well, but don't you think if you say what show you took it at, the show might be offended that you're applying to? Like, hey, look what I can get into. Maybe
More
well, wait.
definitely even more petty.
So
Hey,
here,
listen.
so I came up with a better answer. Just say
Yeah.
you took it at Ann Arbor because everybody does Ann Arbor.
Listen, that's kind of you know why that's funny to me? Because my booth shot was taken at
Ann Arbor.
St. Armand's Circle, right at the show, right
Oh.
in that booth. That's
Is that the one with the Starbucks?
huh?
Is that the one?
Yeah. Well, you took all that out,
Right.
Yeah, that's funny. And I had my name out there. A momentary lapse of intelligence.
I mean, somebody sent me a booth picture today, but they have one of those tents that the sides connect in the center. So you have to gather the sides in the corners when you open it up. And it's terrible for a booth picture.
Is
That's
that
like a
a
the
zipper
easy
opening
ups.
for an extra door type of thing?
No, some of the tents, the sides connect in the middle of the 10-foot. That's
Yeah,
just
like
how
a
they
zipper
connect.
from top to bottom that you can
Right.
make an extra door or something.
Well, yeah, but the point is, what do you do with that material if you're next to another booth and you want to open up in the morning? You have to gather that at the side, and it looks terrible, and it visually blocks part of the interior of your booth.
Two things here. It doesn't matter. This is all petty nonsense. And number two, it's the show directors that think they're like so great in their show. They're doing such a great service for people by having one. It's like, come on, get over it. It's a job. It's an event, and you're making money, and we're the ones that taking all the risk. Everybody else's money is guaranteed. Our money is not guaranteed at all, and and there's a lot of things that it's based on, like the weather, and stuff
Yeah,
like
what
that.
was-
They should be taking care of us. Whatever we need, whatever takes to make it easier for us to do. I've said this before, but if I, if I had to start now or even a few years ago, I would have gotten my MBA and I would have gone into finance and I wouldn't deal with this nonsense because it is. And if you ask
And then-
anybody, any professional anywhere, they think we're crazy for doing this.
Yeah, and then you could.
I know, 'cause I've asked,
Then
you
you
know.
could sponsor a show.
I wouldn't get in, I would only go visit. I might
You
buy
know-
I might buy photographs from Oscar or
Did you know
Court.
that conversation came in this weekend for me? And then our show, they was asking me how I got into doing the shows and if I did, if I will do it all over again, if I will just stick out with math. And I told them yes, because I know how much money you can make with that degree and an MBA, and it's guaranteed money. I will be miserable, but I will have money in the bank all the time.
Hey Oscar, I was a math major at first. Were you that good that you did all the differential calculus and everything you had to do to get through math to get the job that you're
Yeah,
talking
I
about?
finished it.
Huh?
Yeah, I got the BA. I got the BA.
In math?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
I am impressed.
Hey, I was a psych major.
Seriously,
very-
if anybody's
That
taken
shouldn't
those,
impress anybody.
if you've taken those math classes, that's, I took it all, differential calculus, the whole thing, and they're tough.
it's
I
not
only
tough.
lasted 2 years.
Did you understand it?
The problem was this: I understood it, and then I said, "Yeah, but what is it good for?" And I didn't
Right.
have the guidance, and that was it. That was the
That-
last math.
that's what I am doing photography. That's what I was talking to her. If I have a mentor that could tell me what I can do, that's what I was telling her. I would, if I have a mentor that could show me what I can do, I would stick out with it. But you see it, you do it, and you go like, well, I guess I'm going to be a professor. That's what I'm going to be, or a teacher.
Yeah.
And
Well, you could get a job with I don't know, Lockheed
you
or something
can.
like that.
Now you can.
You could be part of the
With no problem.
military-industrial complex.
You can work
My
for
son had
Apple or
has a
Facebook.
BA in math, and then he went
Google.
for master's education. He's teaching high school.
You could be
Yeah, but
designing
I don't-
AI.
Well, and not when they shut down those classes at the university that your community college feeds into. He was on a computer/math track until he found out that if he transferred, it would probably be another 6 years before he could finish because they cut the classes. That there were people that were almost ready to graduate that couldn't because they couldn't get the last few classes. So he switched to pure math and then master's of education.
Yeah.
So
Hey.
it's not a guarantee.
Hey, I got a couple of things to say to Court. First of all, look at Court like working away. He's getting ready for St. Louis. He can't even stop. Look at him. He's working
That's
away.
good.
It's great. And look at the smile on his face. Look at how happy he is.
Anybody remember use this stuff?
What is it?
Yeah.
Bestine?
Can you drink it?
Not if you want to live.
What is it used for? Taking adhesive off?
It is rubber cement. It says for thinning and reducing rubber cements,
Yeah,
but it's a really, really good cleaner.
mixer.
Yeah, mixer.
And so, and Court, I really like something you said, and I really wish I was living closer. So you could take my picture. You said you liked taking pictures of artists at work, and I'd
Yeah.
love to have you take a picture of me at work. So unfortunately, we're far away, so that couldn't happen. But I like that you made that comment.
She's too busy to ask her right now, but hopefully at St. Louis, I'll get a chance to ask Sarah if I can share it. But the exhibitor guide for St. Louis had it mentioned their committee coming by and looking at the work in your booth and you're comparing it to your booth shot and your jury images
Which they do, yes.
multiple times. And then for the first time I've ever seen this, there was a page at the top of the page in all caps and bigger type. It said, basically said, if you do any of the following, you will be asked to leave the show immediately. One of the things on the list was have artwork different than what you juried in with.
Okay.
But you
And-
know,
But that doesn't mean
that's
images.
that's kind of
that may be, you know, every show says that, but this is the first time I've seen a show put it in writing in the information they're giving to the artists when they show up. And it says you'll either be asked to take it down or leave.
Yeah,
But
but
we're not
there are
talking-
other-
we're
there
not
are other
talking
shows
about
that ask
some-
you to take it down.
We're not talking about something totally different. If it's in the style of what you do, you know,
Right.
that's going to be fine. You know, that, I mean, I'm not going to have it.
you know,
You know, I wouldn't have any. Well, I might have a couple of the same pieces I juried in with, but they're all pretty similar. You know, it's my work from a mile away, so
Right.
that wouldn't be any problem. And I've done St. Louis, you know, and I didn't think about it, and nobody bothered me.
but
Right,
here's the thing. I you can do say that you're a painter. The only painter that I can when I see the booth that looks all the same imagery wise and everything as Will Armstrong, everybody else they no single painting looks exactly like they're all a little bit different. You can tell the same
It's a
style, but
It's
it's not
a
even
style.
it's a
Yeah.
style. You cannot
Yeah,
that because that the way that they word that
no,
is it's not it's open to interpretation. And if you go legally, that can lead them to a lawsuit.
No, because it says that, you know, they have a committee and that it's, you know, the committee's decision is final. It's up to the committee to decide. And all this goes back to, remember, I don't know, a couple, 3 months ago when MG and he was asking me about, you know, the artist ganging up and the director telling the artist to leave, and they were ganging up the one artist because he juried in with different images.
Yeah, but that
That
I
was
can
at St.
understand.
Louis. Well, here's the thing. Here's what I've never seen before. I've never seen a show reiterate their rules in writing to the artists, you know, in the show packet when they arrive, much less across the top say, you will be asked to leave immediately if you violate these rules.
No, that's fine. But what I'm saying to you, I don't expect sex photographers right away. Quite clear. Said that you jury with black and white, and then you go to the booth shot. You go to the booth and everything is colored. That's wrong. Okay,
yeah,
that I can understand.
yes,
That's-
and that's what that's about.
Black. Yeah,
Right. That's
but-
exactly what it's about. Because what they
but
did is they had an
sometimes-
artist who's well known for bright, colorful images that are kind of comic book type images, who juried in with black and white images of a totally different subject matter that was more
Yeah.
relevant to local recent news and recent topics on social issues. That's what they juried in with those black and white images of, you know,
Yeah,
social images, and then they showed their comic book heroes in the booth.
yeah, and Coconut Grove kicked them out.
No, Coconut Grove
You're doing
didn't
that.
kick Rick Evans out.
Or one of those shows did. I thought it was Coconut Grove. I don't know which one.
Coconut
I really
Grove
don't
kicked
know.
out. I forgot his name, because he was doing two shows at the same time. That's when he got kicked out. But that's that would be. I don't know how to. That could be I'm going to tell you that could be tricky because it only takes one person in there to start saying that doesn't look like it's work, and then you're going to be in trouble. That's my thinking, but you know.
I don't think anybody here, if they were doing St. Louis, has anything to worry about. This is much ado about nothing, I think. Unless you're that guy that takes the pieces that he initially has that he juried in with and then takes them down. Even that's why they come around every day, because you could have them on the first day and then take them down
There's a
and
lot
show the other ones.
I see a lot of shows doing that, and it's fine, you know, but it's but it's just weird because I just going I'm just thinking to myself, I jury was the ones with reflection, most of the water just to make a uniform so it's all same tone, and then I have a couple of pieces that are colorful. They're still the same style, but it's same color, and they would say something to me like that. I said, but it's the same thing, but instead of being a little more pale, it's a little more colorful. So I will have to take those down. That would be the question.
Mm-hmm. No. You wouldn't, because they're still in your same style. Like for me,
Yeah,
if
but that's not the way they. I just reading it. I'm reading it.
no, that's your
basically
interpretation.
literally like they wrote it down.
It's your interpretation. I don't think that's it. I don't think they
Well,
intended it to be that way. But listen, you have to say those things strongly because people will take advantage of it, unfortunately.
Always.
no, I know that.
Water, I already turned it off.
Right. It really kind of pissed me off that a show has to go to that length to put those rules so broad. You know, it's just general rules. It's what you do at every show. But why the hell, you know, do some people feel that they're entitled to ignore them and do whatever the hell they want?
Yeah, and you know what? A
That's
lot of
different.
shows don't do their due diligence and they let it go. There's a lot of them.
You know, the other thing is, to me, it's also the other way. Like you follow all the rules and then they screw you over. Also, you see, I stopped doing autograph for a little while because the photographer they said they got in the rules, don't put discount size or anything like that. Keep your stuff inside your 10 by 10 space, and then the person in front of me has 15 print bands all the way around with signs
Yeah.
70% off. And
Yeah. What
And
about the
I-
guy that was across from you, the wood guy that, that was basically a factory and they didn't do anything about it?
yeah,
That
so
weird.
Hudson
And they gave him an award.
Hudson River.
yeah,
No, it wasn't Hudson River, somebody else.
so you know, so I don't know anymore. I don't know anymore. But good for them. But depending how this year goes, next week, and I never apply to San Luis or La Plaza again anyhow.
Oh.
So
And like Barry would say, that makes it easier for the rest of us to apply.
yeah, I know. But you find those little games, like course say, those little shows that nobody applying and you make a lot of money and you just keep it to yourself and nobody goes in there.
That's right.
And I can sleep in my bed.
Those are called sleeper shows.
No, it's a little James that nobody knows. Everybody knows, but everybody thinks it's a bad show.
Quartzsite is known to feed people. That's where they have the gym, Tucson gym thing starts there, I think, or ends there.
I hope that you do really well this weekend, Court. Actually, I hope that everybody does really well.
I'm going to do great because I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, me too.
So let me tell you about my show this weekend. It was 95. It was 90 degrees, 95 degrees. It's a Sunday, Monday show in Lake Forest. Most people that I know, they've been doing the show for a while, did really well. Apparently, it's one of the shows that once you develop your clientele, they keep buying from you and tell your friends. So hopefully, it will become a good show for me. It was a couple of photographers. There was Michael Bear, Josh Merrill, and Mark Hirsch. But Mark Hirsch is a local photographer that does combines his picture of old Chicago with new Chicago, and it's called Our Time. So it looks really cool, interesting. A lot of people buy it for the historical meaning. But it was really interesting to see the show. Oh, and Michael Cole was also there. And but it was it was pretty decent show, I would say, for most people. I just got lucky that I saw a 40 by 16, a 30 by 45. But other than that, it was pretty quiet for me. But there was a lot of interest of the people. So we see what happens. Maybe in next year if I get in again. But it's not a show that I would recommend people to. It has to be a short distance trip because you have to. It's a show that you're going to have to develop your crowd. So that's just saying. Anybody did Longwood Gardens or anything like that?
You mean Long's Park?
Lawrence Park.
It got a lot of positive comments.
Yeah.
That's good because I don't been following anything like that.
Oh,
I'm sorry, Oscar.
What?
But did you have your fire extinguisher?
The fire extinguisher is always in the toolbox.
Yeah.
I just need to pull it out. Like I
Mhm.
just, when you go to Florida, every single show ask you. So it's always in one of the tool things in there. I know where it is. But I hope it's still there.
Is it in date?
Yeah, it should be in date because I bought it last year.
They don't look that closely.
What kind of fire extinguisher is it?
Anything.
No, they
It's
have
an AB.
spray cans that the fire marshals don't like at all.
No, it's a fire extinguisher, but it's an AB fire
ABC.
extinguisher.
A real fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
did they
So
come
it's in
around to
there.
check that at Long's Park?
They did when I did it.
No,
They didn't for me. I had it all ready, but nobody came by.
I'm so happy I only have one more show and then I get 4 weeks break. I'm going to be happy. So happy. Ron, you're really quiet. What's wrong with you?
Heat stroke, probably. It was kind of
Heat
warm.
stroke.
Yeah, my last 2 shows when I did Festival of the Arts, the setup temperature was 112 heat index. Friday all day long it was 118. Saturday it rained 6.5 hours nonstop. And that was kind of hard. And this last weekend it was low 90s and heat indices close to 100 here in Bloomington. So yeah, I'm a little
You did
tired.
4th Street?
Pardon?
You did 4th Street?
Yeah, 4th Street. A lot of people, not a lot of buyers. Most of the artists I talked to were down from what they've did at least last year, if not before. Weather was, except for the heat, which was pretty brutal on Saturday because there was no wind, no breeze at all. But the crowd was young for the most part, not of the age to buy much. Not a lot of people buying anything, and what they bought was mostly small, from what I saw and what I talking to the artist.
That all college students?
Well, a lot of college students, a lot of people, yeah, a lot of college students, and then a lot of people that live in Bloomington but are younger and getting set up, just don't have a lot of money to spend, and for some reason, the buyers that come to the show most years, not a lot of them came this year. No, cleared
You
out.
know, there was a big,
Pardon?
there was a big game. It was a big game this weekend also in Indiana.
Well, yeah, they got their, yeah, like there was no chance they were probably going to win that game against Ohio State. But I heard some artists saying a lot of people just watched it on TV. But yeah, the place cleared out about 2:30 and was dead all Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think IU has ever been known for its football team. Bobby Knight,
Plus,
right on.
there also somebody told me the hotel was going to be like a $700 a night.
They were, yeah, that's what some artists were saying. They were just super, super expensive this year. And are you guys, if you stay in motels, are those discount coupons working at all anywhere? You know, the price line and all those kind of things, do they work anymore?
Yeah, I use
They
Priceline.
work.
They
Priceline
do?
works. I use it quite often, but you're not getting super deals like you used to. It's more, you know, it's a little bit cheaper than calling the hotel directly,
Okay.
but everything helps.
They have like a VIP thing if you use them, you know, a few times, and you get an extra discount.
With
Yeah,
Priceline?
which I
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
found that to be pretty good. You know, of course, I'm not checking hotel.com. I'm not checking the other ones, so I don't really know how it relates.
well, I find out the Priceline is the most accurate from all three of them. But you know, it's a Chivago, whatever is the other one, give you.
Well, yeah, Trivago and hotels.com, and there's a couple others out there.
I just, you know, when I pick up the hotel, it's a last minute of time, so I just pay whatever it is. But it's not. It's because at that point it's all rows completely in the ban or pay.
Yeah.
Why not to-
Tough choice.
it.
I know, tough choice.
Yeah, really tough.
Well, I remember,
So-
have you found that the hotels are staying as clean and as functional as they used to be, or have you noticed any decline in the quality of the rooms?
Depends
Well, I
on which
noticed
one
that-
you pick.
Yeah.
When in Minneapolis, when I stay in I forgot the name now, but you go to the lobby. This is what I'm finding the most. You go to the lobby, it looks really high end. You go to the room, at first glance, it looks really, really good. But when you start looking closely,
Yeah.
everything looks run down, like a beat up, no maintain. That's what I've been noticing.
Yeah,
That's
don't look
what
too
I'm-
closely.
Yeah, if you look, it looks it's clean, and they're only coming to clean it every other day most of the time.
Wow.
But if you start looking really closely, you start noticing little things here and there. The one thing that kind of throws me off sometimes when I go to the bathtub, and the bathtub looks a little gray. It's not dirty, but it looks gray. And like that, you know, like that really, really slight gray color.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
called that's called mold.
Yeah. You wish it was dirt, but it's mold. Yeah.
Don't touch it. Try and maneuver in the shower without touching it. It can be
But it's
done.
not like No, it's not more. It's like a, like a the bathtub after a few years that doesn't look white anymore. They start looking like a that all white, grady color. They no matter what you do, it start looking like it's an old bathtub. That's what I mean.
No,
But
last
Well, you know
year,
why that is, Oscar? When they
what?
update the rooms, they'll update the furniture, they'll paint it, they'll put new carpet, they'll put new furniture in, but they won't do anything with the bathrooms. It's really expensive to rip out bathrooms. So when they update the rooms, there's nothing they can do about the bathrooms. So the
Yeah, they
rooms may
can
have
do
been
something.
updated a year or two ago, but the bathrooms are, the bathtubs, whatever they put in when they built the place.
No, but the bathtub, you can do a refinish of the bathtub if they want to. That's the cheapest way to do it. They don't have to change the tiles, but now what they're doing is like they put the fake vinyl over the walls. That's what they're using now. But you can refinish it. Some places do just refinish the bathtub, or they taking the bathtub completely and just put in showers. But I don't pay $300 a night. That's too much to my taste. I got friends that do pay $300. Like when I pay $100, $200 is because I don't know choice in the matter. So
have you been
like
finding that hotel costs in general in the last year and a half have been going up, even with
Yeah,
not counting
double.
discounts, just going up?
Okay,
Like
name
double.
one thing in the last 2 or 3 years that hasn't gone up in price.
Yeah, but the rooms have doubled.
Yeah, and that's harsh. That's harsh.
I haven't found that.
You haven't. Good.
Well, stop staying in your vehicle.
hey, no, the first time that I was in shock was hotel was in Florida this year, but I kind of understand that. But the last year I could stay in an Airbnb every week, and you can find something for $40 or $50 a night, a clean room. And now this year it was same rooms was $125, $150.
For an
When I went to
Airbnb.
Naples for
Yeah.
Airbnb,
Wow.
when you went to Naples, Florida, last year you can get a red roof for 100, 150. Now they was asking 300.
Wow. Ouch.
They should be
So,
asking $50. It's a $50 room. Maybe.
yeah,
Yeah.
at best.
Hey, Court, you have a point about the price. Where you live, the prices are way less, the hotel rooms. You go east from there and like where I live, they're like $300. It's a little town. It's Marquette, Michigan. They're $300. Come on.
And Kurt, when
250.
you go to the Kansas City for the plaza, do you
Yeah.
find the rates are up there quite a bit?
When I go to Kansas City for the plaza,
Yeah.
I don't stay at a hotel. We used to live in Kansas City. We have friends, so I have a place to stay, which is really nice.
Yeah, that is
It
nice.
sure is.
But the hotel rates for the plaza were outrageous.
Yeah.
Well, I think the cheapest rate for the plaza was 100, maybe 150 a night.
How much?
But
150.
then they also had one that was 750 to 950 a night, and you got a 50% discount.
Holy cow.
Jeez.
Nope.
What I love is when the show sends out their thing and says, "Hey, we got a deal on these hotels," and every single one, I can't afford the rate. What did they tell?
No.
Who's staying in those? What did they must think we make way more money than we do. I mean, that just shows you some of the disconnect there is with show directors and us.
Yeah, and if they are higher than any discount would offer, then they're not really doing the best they can for us, because the hotel should honor the best price out there, I would think.
Hey, I did a Conema walk, and they had a program where you could stay with people. And I stayed in a really great place. They had a really nice. I had the basement was totally done. So, and I had the basement to myself, and it was great. It was like,
Sweet.
yeah, it was nice. And they fed me, 3 meals a day. She actually brought me food at the show. It was great.
Oh, wow,
I know.
that's
We should
nice.
all be, that should be the case everywhere.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
would be a great lesson for a lot of promoters to learn how to involve the community with the art show, wouldn't it?
Mhm. It's an
Yeah,
old concept, just
In
that,
St. Louis, the show hotel is a La Meridian, which is, I think, an upscale Marriott, and it's 129 a night. But there's a plaza, the Clayton Plaza Hotel, which is a block closer to the show. And it is, if you book 5 nights, you have to book 5 nights. I got it for $90 a night. And that includes a really nice breakfast.
good.
you know, I wonder if they switched the hotel because the show hotel I thought was right there, right at the show. And I stayed there and I liked it. It was really convenient.
It is. It's the same hotel. It's changed names.
Uh-huh.
But this hotel is right across the street. Well, you walk out of the show hotel, you go through a parking garage, and you wind up in the back of the Clayton Plaza. And it sits between the show hotel and the show.
Yeah, that's really convenient, and I like that. I hope they don't call me. Can you believe I'm actually saying this? Because I can't go. I don't, you know, I got
Yes,
the
you
work, but I'm selling it wholesale, and so if I talk about what I'm gonna get a check for versus how you would do it at St. Louis, and you add the expense of doing it plus the drive and everything, I think I'm doing the same amount of money, same thing, and I'm just driving 200 miles, dropping off the pieces and turning around and coming back. Maybe I'll stay there overnight. Um, so I'm gonna have to turn it down, and that would be really difficult to do because you don't turn down a show like St. Louis.
No, I'd like to get
Man.
accepted just once so I could turn it down if I wanted to.
I turned it
No,
down.
you're not gonna
You-
turn it down. Keep applying.
Oh, I do, but I'm not sure that it's worth it. Uh, when you get your wholesale accounts, is that a benefit that's come through shows, Barry? That people have seen you at the shows, ask you if you do wholesale and go from there?
Okay. Once upon a time, half my business was to galleries. Half the business, and that was really good. And there was a trade show, and you could sell your work. You could like take orders for every month and then deliver every month to whatever. And also now at the art fairs, there'd always be 1 or 2 galleries that would come by and wanted to buy. That sort of went by the wayside. That dropped out. That doesn't exist anymore. But I was doing Fort Myers about 6 years ago, and a gallery came by. They were at Fort Myers. I live in Marquette, Michigan. This gallery is on Madeline Island, which is 200 miles west of me. We were both in Florida. We were both 1,400 miles away from where we live, where the gallery is, and they ordered, and I've been selling to them ever since. Every year I sell them work. It has legs. So I think that's really funny that you have to go 1,400 miles to sell to somebody who's just down the street. Or well, and it happened. It's actually happened again. My two best galleries. I met them in Florida and sold to them and delivered.
Boy, but that's great that they understood their customer base well enough to know that your work would resonate with them, with their
What they
customers.
did was, well, they went to Florida. Yeah, I know. The one group, the first group, they just love my work. Um, but one of the points is they went to Florida because they thought, the best. Well, they were there on vacation, but then when you're there in the spring or in the like January, February, you can go to an art fair every weekend. You can look for work, and you can be selective. Excuse me, because you're seeing a lot of people, and yeah, it's really great that they like my work.
And then
But
it
it doesn't.
becomes a business trip, not a vacation.
and they can write it off as an expense.
Right.
Fantastic.
Wow. But they're paying attention to their customers too, which is beautiful. It's-
I found that they buy for their own taste, and then they, they figure if they like it, their customers will like it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, these are a good example of a porch I shot on one of my business trip vacations. I went down to see my mother in Texas and spent a little over half a day going out shooting porches.
Wow. So it's a good, you have a customer base down there?
No, not yet. I'm working on it.
Good, good. It's a nice shot. Nice shot.
What I'm doing is, these are my, I call them desktop prints. They're 8x10 sheets, but I print them 3 up across a 24-inch wide sheet.
Oh.
And then they'll have to be signed and trimmed apart.
Sweet.
And my assistant puts them in the bag for me.
How big are your editions?
I
Because you're,
sign everything.
but
Doesn't matter.
all your work's black and white, right?
Yep.
Do you have smaller editions? Because most of the black and white photographers I've known tend to have smaller editions.
Well,
75.
the few pieces that I have that are limited edition, like the ones this size, I do 150 of.
Okay.
My larger limited edition pieces, I do 20 of.
Okay. And like when you get into Plaza, are they pretty strict about limited editions of all your prints?
I have yet to have anybody say anything about all my prints being limited edition
Okay, good.
and numbered.
Talking about that, this weekend I got a person asking me when I sign my metal prints in the front. And I was like baffled about the question, and I just answered because the customers want the signature in the front.
I sign all my stuff signed the same way,
Oh yeah, yeah.
in pencil, below the image on the lower right-hand corner, and all my mats. These don't get matted, but everything that gets matted, let's see. Everything that gets matted oversized.
So you're
you
still
can-
signing the print, not the mat, which is great.
I'm signing the print, not the mat.
Yep.
And so it's matted with an oversized window so you can see the signature.
And the date, yeah. Cool.
Okay, I want to hear from Laura. She has her. Come on, Laura, step up to the
I've
plate.
been listening so nice. Oh,
Tell us something.
I did my first show after my knee replacement, so yay, survived it.
Congrats. Congrats.
Thank you.
Recovery
It was-
going well?
I hate it. It's awful, but it's just it's
But
going
the
to take a
long
while.
term is it's going to be a lot less painful, right? Theory.
I think it's currently better than it was before the surgery. Already, we're at 2.5 months. Like I can bend my knee enough to get my leg all the way in the bathtub. So that's exciting. I haven't done that in a 1.5 years.
You take baths?
Oh, every time. Yeah, I'm sad. I'm sad if it's just a shower available, like at a hotel room. That's not what I want.
So when do you think you'll be back doing shows?
I did one this weekend. It was Marietta,
Great.
Georgia, the one that so many people were upset about.
I heard there were police all over the place. They had intersection blocks. Somebody had a sculptural or acrylic piece stolen, got it back
Oh,
within 2 hours. The police got it back.
they got it back.
Yeah,
mean,
they did.
It's a really safe area. I think there's going to be growing pains in that show since they extended it one more street. It's been 3 blocks going around that square, and they gave the 4th block. So I think that's why sales were down. That's my theory.
So when
There
you say
was-
when you say people were upset, are you talking artists or the attendees?
Artists.
Artists,
Some artists packed up and left
because the show expanded?
because they didn't feel like the sales were good enough. The artist beside me does like pop shows. I'm sorry, can you guys still hear me? Low
Yeah.
power.
Yeah.
The artist beside me does top shows, but he stuck it out. The other people beside me left. It was their first show. I made 2,500, which is not great for a 3-day show, you know, but I needed money, so I'm still glad I went. So
What show was that?
this is Marietta, Georgia.
Oh,
A Sunshine Artist like top 100 show, but I don't know
Oh,
that it will be again because a
deal.
lot of artists were really upset.
But the artist next to you, you said it was their first show.
Yeah, one
And they-
guy.
They
one
left
guy-
after one day.
No, he left on.
After 2 days.
They packed up and left on Sunday. I mean, on Monday, like during the show, because they just had such an easy setup. I didn't catch them in time to say, "Hey guys, that's against the rules. You're not supposed to do that." They were already packed up and about halfway gone. So, oh well. He said, "You just got to know when to fold them."
Yeah, which was not then. It's just not then.
No.
You were telling them the right thing.
Monday was super slow. I think I made like, I haven't added up Monday, but maybe 50, $60 on Monday.
You
I made
grossed.
all my money the first day.
You didn't make it, you grossed. I'm a stickler
Yeah.
for the proper terminology.
Good
Yeah.
point.
What you
Yeah.
make is after all your expenses, including how much it costs to make the piece, and then you subtract that from your gross, and that's what you
Right.
made.
Well, what I'm saying is that's all the purchasing that happened
Yeah.
on Monday. It was just really slow on Monday. I don't know if they have to change their advertising or what.
no, it's the show. I got friends that live in Atlanta. They don't touch that show.
Yeah, I'm doing, I'm exploring Tennessee and Georgia to try to find, like, I'm going to be doing several in that area till I find my favorite.
And I got a friend that I was doing a show, and when you were saying the pool, I'm glad that you said they pull up on Monday because my friend actually pulled up on Sunday night.
Oh yeah, Sunday night's different than in the middle of the day on Monday.
Ooh, that's a really bad show when people leave after the second day.
Oh, yeah.
I've thought of it, but I've never done it.
I
No,
mean,
when
I've done okay before, but it just was very slow on Monday and Sunday. Saturday was decent, but even Saturday wasn't very busy. It just had a lot better. It was steady with better energy.
Right. And after you
Laura,
spent,
what was the weather like compared to previous years?
Perfect. It was perfect. It had rained because of the hurricane. It had rained all week leading up to it. So the temperature was a good, I would guess 10 degrees cooler than it had been the weekend before. I was so thrilled with the weather.
What's the temperature?
I think it went from like mid 90s down to mid 80s.
No, I mean when you were at the show.
Yeah, like mid 80s was the high. It went up a little bit the second 2 days, so it might have
You
been
know,
low.
Where
Hi.
I live, I was outside today and it was 82, and I'm going, oh man, this is real. When did this become really hot to me? You know, because
Yeah.
you know, you get used to 70s, which is really pleasant, and I know that when I go south to do something, it's going to be ungodly hot. It's not going to be
Yeah,
that hot for most people, but for me, it's going to feel really hot.
Sure. In August, the sun's trying to kill us in Alabama and Georgia.
Yeah.
So at least it wasn't like at that level.
Hey,
Yeah.
it's been 100 here for the last 3 days, Barry.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was 100 in Detroit also. Oh, we had a record high yesterday, 95. I forgot all about that. It was 95 yesterday. They in the paper it said it was the new high, new record. So that just tells you how hot it would get.
Yeah,
But hey,
that's
global
out-
climate change,
it's
it's
just
going to
hot.
be hundreds everywhere.
I'm gonna go back on mute now because I'm eating my popcorn.
I don't know what's going on,
We
but I
can't
looked
hear
at
you chewing.
the temp for St. Louis for the show in St. Louis has dropped 10 degrees since I started looking at the weather.
Good. Hope it stays down there. It's supposed to be like
Yeah.
70s, right?
It's going to be went from the mid 90s. It's now into the low to mid 80s.
Yes, 70s is perfect weather for doing
Hey.
art fairs.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah, but the long range for Plaza is hot, but it's still too far out.
Court, I've never seen you this happy. Of course, I've hardly ever seen you, period, but only intermittently, but it's really good to see. We can tell you appreciate getting into St. Louis. I'm happy for you.
So am I.
No kidding.
No, I just have I'm almost done. I have like almost 70 of these small prints to sign and cut up.
Very nice.
That's what I've done so far. And you're talking about prices going up. I usually buy pre-cut backboards for these on 8x10, and the price has literally doubled on them. I used to pay like 50 cents a piece, so now we're $1 a piece. And when I buy 100 at a time, that's a little pricey.
Mm-hmm.
So I normally get my mats and frames and glass from a local frame wholesaler, and I lay out. I buy master sheets and they cut them down to size for me. But when I lay them out, I make sure that when I have overage, it's either 8 inches wide or 10 inches wide. So I wind up with like 8-inch by 40-inch pieces or like 10-inch by 32-inch pieces that I can easily slice down into 8x10 backers. So that's what I was doing earlier.
Hey, is anybody here going to be at St. James Court? Laura, where's your booth?
Not the court, I'm doing 4th Street. Sorry, I got excited.
Well, same thing. It's only a block away.
I'm nervous. I've never done it before. I've gotten into Belgravia twice and said no each time because it just sounds so intimidating. So I thought 4th Street would be a good place to try.
I don't know about intimidating. It's claustrophobic maybe, but not intimidating.
Well, that's intimidating to me, like hearing about the crowd and about all the artists. I don't know, it just felt really intimidating to me.
And 4th Street, I did 4th Street at first, but they hadn't redone the street and it rained and there were holes, behind my booth and they filled up and that was really tough.
Is it still that way?
No, they repaved and you know what I asked her? I was going to go back there and I asked her if they had done the street and they said no. So I went and did St. James Court, which I've been there for now, for the few years, whatever, 5 years.
You've earned your way to the outer circle yet?
Oh, wait. Oh,
is it at the court that they moved?
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. You're assuming something.
More about assuming.
First of all, I earned my way to the outer court or to the street years ago, and so let me tell you what I did. When I moved there, I knew that they put people on the inside and the inside sucks. So I said, the only way I'll do the show is if you put me on the street. I've talked to people and I've done this for years and years and years. And even though I haven't done your show, I know about it. So I'll only do the show if I can get on the street. And, they could either get pissed off about that or they could actually take care of me. And they said, well, don't pay your booth fee until we give you a space. And it worked. And they put me on the street.
Well, good for you.
And then I've been there. Well, my point is that anybody can do this, you just got to ask them. And like this year, so I had a setup time. I just dealt with this like today.
Or you also have to not be a beginner. Like they don't care what I want. They've never seen me before. I don't have a reputation there.
They
You know
don't
what
know
I'm
you're a
saying?
beginner. No, they don't know that you're a beginner. Don't
I'm
tell them
a
you're a
beginner to
beginner.
the top shows. I'm new to them. You know, I'm just now trying for them.
Listen, there's a lot of people that do it for the first time that might have done it for a long time. They don't know that. You know, you're not a beginner. If you got in, you're not a beginner. In fact, there's some things about 4th Street that I like better than St. James Court. For one thing, the street's a little wider and they have prize money. And St. James Court doesn't have any prize money. So, and you have a dinner, you have a nice dinner and prize money. We have bupkas. We have nothing. So
Well, I'll be staying with a college friend, so I don't have to pay for a place to stay, which is super great.
yeah. The great thing about that show is that the people that live in those houses, at least on, well, I know it's the same thing on 4th Street. They embrace the artists. They take care of you. They bring you food and they let you use their bathrooms, and
That's
it's really
wonderful.
fun. You get a relationship with them. Oh, I misspoke. We get a breakfast every morning on St. James Court. I don't want anybody sending me emails telling me, oh,
Like muffins and bananas and coffee.
and yogurt and egg. I think there were eggs.
Yeah,
You know,
that's nice.
carbs.
I don't usually make it for a breakfast, but I will make it for a dinner.
Really, you can't get up that early.
Well, I'm gluten free, so, and if it's just a banana, I don't, it's not worth the walk. To me, I'll just do my own fruit, you know, and not have to find the place where they're giving away banana and coffee. And I don't drink coffee unless I have good stuff in it. I don't want like powdered creamer in it.
Really?
It's not worth the trouble. It's not good.
Really? No,
I
you know
want-
I'm saying that? I'm a coffee snob. So of course.
Well, yeah, okay, you agree. Yeah, like I don't want
Yeah.
coffee with like powdered stuff in it.
If
I
you
want
don't like
single
crowds-
origin beans that were just roasted 2 days before. That's what I want.
If you don't like crowds, you definitely don't want to do the plaza, because last time I did the plaza, Friday night is a zoo. You can't move. You can't go outside.
I mean, I want crowds. It's 7 hours away. It was longer time away from my family. And you know, my baby is 18. He's a senior this year. So I just haven't been leaving that long. And I don't know, it just felt like more than I wanted to commit to. But
Yeah, those 18-year-olds, they need constant care.
Your baby, what does he think about that?
what I'm saying is he's pretty much grown, so he doesn't need me so much now. You know, like I have 3 and he's the youngest. So I'm just getting to this point where I feel like everybody can like not destroy the house while I'm gone, like they do the dishes. They don't sweep, but I used to come home and just everything would be awful and destroyed. So I feel like I'm able finally to start trying these things.
Hey, they all live at home?
2, the 20-year-old and the 18-year-old are at home, and then my 23-year-old is in a cottage on our land. So we see her. She's in the house right now. She comes in a lot.
Yeah, whenever she wants to eat.
Yes, and visit and whatever.
And
I'm
laundry.
glad she's
And
on
laundry.
top. What?
And laundry.
Yes, laundry. I used to decide shows because they all had to be, you know, close like 3 hours. So I'm just now going really farther.
I never do the show that's only 3 hours away. Oh, I do one show. I take that back. Our local show. But other than that, they're like, you know, I think 5 hours was a treat to only be able to drive 5 hours. I
Yeah.
actually left in the morning and set up that day. That never happens. It's always a trip.
We'll
Hey,
see how
Cord,
it
did you hear? Sorry.
Sorry, Oscar.
No, I was going to ask, is anybody heard anything about Aaron the Pearl?
Nope, everybody's on the road, I think.
Yeah. They're all
I
doing it.
know.
I feel left out. They're doing the cannonball run, they call it.
Be interested to see how they did. Ooh.
You know, if they do well, those nobody talks about it. There's enough people that are applying to those shows. And those magazines like Sunshine Artists, they do them a really good favor by sort of ignoring those good shows.
Well, it's one of the things I never understand on the artist surveys at the end of a show, why they ask us if we would recommend that show to anybody else. Because
That's
as a
right.
business, if we're doing good, why do we want to increase the competition to get
That's right. And I've done that. At first I thought,
yeah.
you know, I was writing articles for Art Fair Insider like 10 years ago, and I'm talking about how good the shows are. And then the next year I wouldn't get in. So like I learned that one.
I know. I was
But you know, my thinking is, I would like people that would I think it's a catch-22 because you want to recommend the show to people so the quality of the show stays high. Because if the quality goes down, then the show dies sooner or later.
Yeah, it does. So it's word of mouth to your friends that you think are good enough that, you know, that's not in your medium, so that you know, they're not competing with you.
right.
Yeah, when you fill out the survey, you put a different medium and then tell them you made a lot of money. So the other mediums get more people applying.
Yeah, of course, if you have friends in those mediums, you're going to screw them over too. You know,
They'll do
Well,
yeah, the ceramic people did great. I'm a ceramic artist. I did great. Then it goes Barry spot, like, son of a bitch.
Well, no, it's generally functional work. What I do, it's like it's a very small niche market.
Yeah, but on those surveys, they don't know that. It just slays me that they feel a need to ask us as a business why we wouldn't.
I have my competition. You know, there's people. I mean, we're all doing totally different techniques, but they're my competition, and it's like either I'm getting in or they're getting in. We have a friendly banter, but you know, it's still I mean, I'd like us all to get in, but me first,
Yeah,
and it doesn't happen. I can give you names, but I'm not gonna.
no.
And I'm sure photography is the same way. I mean, that's a pretty tight group, and
Well, every medium is.
yeah, exactly.
It's
The
just
worst is jewelry, because
Yeah.
there's so many jewelers.
Remember when we started doing shows, I think painters were the big category, and
Play.
maybe next, I don't know what was next, but photographers were almost always 10 to 12% of the show. So
Pottery.
No,
Pottery
no,
was crazy.
no, really, no. That's
Oh,
wrong
was.
because
I
no,
added it
no,
up
no,
at
no.
show after show after
painters
show.
are still the if you really think about it, painting is still the highest
No, jewelry and photography.
in the shows.
Jewelry and
No,
photography.
Jewelry than
no,
photography.
I'm gonna tell you why not. Because you guys are thinking the wrong way. Mixed media is still painting.
Yeah, good.
Watercolor is still painting. You know,
Yeah, right.
so they just split it up so it doesn't look like it's all painting, but it's still painting.
But I don't think most shows split it out by watercolor or acrylics,
No,
things like
no.
that.
No,
Most
but
either-
they divide it
Yeah.
by mixed media.
but mixed media is often not painting.
Okay. When I
No,
first started,
you'll be
listen.
surprised.
when I first started doing shows, hardly anybody. There was a category mixed media. There was, and the smart people would like apply in mixed media, and they would get in because there were hardly any. But
Right.
Clay, listen, I have a brochure from 1989, and there are 30 raku potters alone in the show. 30.
30 raku potters.
Yeah, now there's one. You know, one raku, one porcelain. These are non-functional. One raku, one mid-range, one crystalline glaze, one porcelain that's carved. You know, there's hardly any. It's to be a huge amount. And there's hardly anybody in mixed media and hardly anybody in wood. And that sort of turned around. Glass was big.
What happened to the ceramics, all those ceramics people?
They couldn't make any money, so they got real jobs. I'm guessing. I don't know what happened to them, but that's what I think.
Wow.
No,
And they were
just
really
get-
good.
They just got old.
Hey, you know, I started complaining about 25 years ago when I looked, there was a party, you know, Ann Arbor had a party, and I'm looking around the room and I didn't know anybody there, whereas I used to know everybody. And I thought, you know, so how many businesses, there's plenty of businesses where people work there for 30 years, whatever, get a pension and then leave, and you know, and they're taken care of. And with us, uh, you know, there's no longevity, and it's all financial. So why shouldn't it be financially rewarding so that you'd stay doing this for 30 years? And that's when I started complaining about, I started looking at it all, and when I started complaining about conditions.
Okay, so here's Coconut Grove this year. So you get my point. So drawing in pastel, to me, that still falls in and painting in my head. And they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And I'm going to tell you, there's a friend of mine, Karina Allegro, that's painting in my head. That's no drawing. Then you go to mixed media, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 34. And I can tell you at least half of those are paintings, just combining oil and acrylic and things over.
They're not paying
Painting
attention
alone.
because at one time that was an easy way to get into the shows. Now it's everybody caught on to that. So you know, they should
But
go
you know
back
why
to
they're
their
doing
money.
it?
My point is
You know
what I'm
why?
trying to say is that you guys, the photography jewelers are the biggest category. And it's not. The things like a painting that got divided in 3 different categories.
Just out of curiosity, how many jewelers do you show in that listing that you're reading off?
Jewelers. One, two, three, that's 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 29.
Yeah, usually jewelry is the biggest category.
Yeah, these days, I think it is.
But
But like
it
I
pays
say,
off.
Well, it's the
They
biggest,
divide
most
in it.
applications,
Pardon?
that's different.
What'd you say, Larry?
But
most applications. But that
No.
doesn't mean the most spaces in the show.
No, most spaces in the show, because I tend to always count up at a show what gets in and look at who, you know, what gets in, and it's primarily jewelry and photography these days. It didn't used to be. It used to be painting, ceramics, but it was a big drop down from painting because painters ruled.
there was only 23 photographers in Coconut Grove.
This
You know
year,
why so many painters went into mixed media?
Yeah. It was easier to get in at first.
Nope.
what
They
was
can
it?
They can sell reproductions in mixed media where they can in painting category.
Oh,
A lot
yeah,
of shows.
Really?
shows, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Not in my
Erin
show.
Malloy. Erin Malloy does that at her show in Geneva.
Not in my show.
Yeah, but Court's right. Like in Geneva, painters cannot sell reproductions, therefore photographers cannot print on canvas. So if you sell primarily canvas prints, there's no point in even applying to her show. All you can do is sell stuff that's matted or framed. That's it.
Yeah, that's one reason why I just caught up on that this year. That's when I know I'm getting in because I'm doing metal prints, and they think that it's canvas. So,
Okay, so wait a minute. Can you apply it in mixed media? Because it's basically a painting on a photograph on metal. There's two mediums, so that's mixed media.
Probably not, but it's an interesting thought. But also look at how many, the whole category of digital, when it came out, photographers started applying as digital artists because it was like Barry was describing, there was a backdoor in to photography.
Because they used the digital camera.
Yeah, and it wasn't. It should, that door should never have been open to
It
photography.
was a new thing.
Yeah, it was.
Now nobody prints on on paper, does their own printing.
So
Oh well.
I think
I
there's a
did-
lot of photographers that should be in the digital category because their photos aren't real.
The
Yeah.
ones that, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, here's how I look at it. Whatever gets you into the show, that's what you do.
Well, there was a digital photographer when I first started doing shows back early 2000s that actually used animation software from Disney, and he made some amazing work. It was all digital, all computer, nothing else. He was in the show for several years, and then he went off and started doing light shows for orchestras and plays and all kinds of stuff like that. He's the only true digital artist I've ever seen. But
Yeah, I used to see some, and they would, to have their have their digital images rendered, it would take a day and a half
yeah,
to render one, so that was pretty good.
and it was fascinating work, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's exploratory. I don't know if I like the end results, but because they were experimenting because it was a new thing, and I think that's really cool. I think that deserves some credit.
Yep.
You know what? A lot of shows that I like are going to two categories, 3D and 2D, and that eliminates all this problem. You're either two-dimensional or you're three-dimensional. End of story.
I do oil paintings and I have to look carefully at every application to try to see if I'm mixed media or if I'm painting, depending on how they write things up. Because I'll use a flash vinyl as a base coat sometimes. Sometimes I'll use a little cold wax. Sometimes I use a little graphite, and it really depends on the show which category I'm in, which makes it complicated.
But if they went to just straight 2Ds or 3D, would the jurors and or the show have enough information to really assess the work that they're looking at?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many categories they are. They either know what they're looking at or they don't, though.
But would you be screwed as an artist applying if they didn't understand what you were doing?
Nobody understands what I'm doing. So what are you talking about?
Well, yeah, you have to assume they don't understand.
Listen, when the award judge comes into my booth and asks me what it is that I have, which happened at Arctic Raw one year, and I just react. So instead of just explaining it, which I would have been better off doing, I said, "You're judging this and you don't know what you're looking at." That's what I said. Because that's true. There's some truth to that. Like, come on, hire judges that are competent.
Well, unless they're asking you just to explain your work. I mean, if they really
Well,
didn't
but
know
they
what
didn't
they were
ask
looking
that. They weren't asking it like that. What is this? What are you, 20 years old, and
they shouldn't be a juror. I would agree.
just out of high school?
Actually understand it. But I mean, how many people have we seen in the show years that do forms of mixed media or non-functional ceramics mixed with other things or sculpture? Dividing those categories is difficult, I think, sometimes. I'm not exactly sure what, you know,
So if I add found objects to my pieces, which I used to do a lot, could I enter as mixed media?
yeah, I would say you
Land
probably,
metal.
Well, guys, I'm going to let you go. I need to go. Be
gotta
good.
answer the
Oh
question.
yeah, what do you
Gotta
got to
answer the
do?
question.
You don't have anything to do, Oscar. It's funny.
Yeah.
Oscar gives me a lot of shit all the time, so I love giving it back to him.
So Wendy, do you like, how do you feel about like the categories for that you might apply, that you might qualify for? Do you think your work always falls into one, or do you think your work sometimes falls into more different ones, depending on how the show structures it?
I'm about 50-50, whether I feel like I fit into painting or whether I fit into mixed media. I've got one series that is much more clear, you know, it's oil paint all the way, but and sometimes I'll apply with both series. Even my other work, my fiber work, I do fiber work on metal bars. So am I 3D mixed media? Am I fiber? It's I've got the metal component, but that's basically the substrate. So I feel like it's often just a question in my mind as I'm putting it in. I haven't had anybody
Challenge you at the show.
challenge me at the show or during the application process, but it's sometimes hard to tell.
Do you think it ever makes a difference with the jurors?
I need to go through and just look at that and see whether I was having better acceptance rates with mixed media. I'm still so new to everything that I've been changing up my jury images and, you know, refining my booth shot, and I'm not submitting the same 4 images or 3 images or 5 images each time, so it's kind of hard to draw conclusions about anything right now.
Okay. And I was Barry, when you choose your images to jury with and going back in time, did you change from one show to the next, or did you tend to find the ones that you thought were your strongest work, some of your strongest pieces, and consistently use the same pieces, regardless of what the jury said?
Yeah, I don't listen to what the jury says. Um, unless it's like a designer or something like that, and then I just know that they're not going to understand what I'm doing. But to answer your question is, if I get into a show, this is what I've done. If I get into a show with certain images at Cherry Creek, which I think is, you know, that or Fort Worth, those are the hardest shows to get in. I use those images, you know, next, you know, along the line.
Right? Yeah.
And it's funny because, you know, that's no guarantee I'm going to get in. I mean, it's fun. It's funny when you get into a really tough, really hard show to get into, and then some lesser show you get rejected, and that happens a lot. So,
Yeah.
you know,
It
so
shows the pitfall of the jurying system. There's no consistency, is there?
Well, that, you know,
No.
Barry's problem is
my
being a
personality.
category called Barry.
I think it's the sophistication of the jurors.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. That's true.
I think the better shows have more sophisticated jurors that see they just see the work differently.
Well, they understand what they're looking at.
But do you
Yeah.
think they use the
No, I think, well, that too, but they just have a different attitude. They're looking for more. I'm going to use photography as an example. They're going to look for more art style photos and less pretty
Postcard.
photos on the wall.
But when you get into a show 1 year, in the next 2 years you get, for the next 3 years you get rejected. Like, for example, I guess that would be the Plaza as an example. Does that support that theory, or does that kind of argue against it? Because it seems if your work connects 1 year, you should be fairly close, waitlisted or something like that, or in more often than rejected.
Not necessarily. You could win an award and get rejected the next year, and that happens a lot. You know, you
Well,
get you
I
get
will
in the
tell you
next year
from
because you won an award, but the year after you're, and then you can't get back in. And you can read a lot of people that that talk about that.
and this is based on my personal experience over the last 4 or 5 years. That is my experience getting into shows and what shows my acceptance rate at different shows. I have a higher acceptance rate at shows like Plaza, Cherry Creek, St. Louis. I have a higher acceptance rate at those shows than
Yeah.
I do at some of my local shows and regional shows.
Yeah. And that's really frustrating, isn't it? It is to me.
No, I deal with it. So
For me,
That-
some shows are bragging rights and some shows are I need a paycheck for the weekend.
Yeah, because if you could do a show that was more local, that was your audience, and you sold really well, that's a lot of what we want. But then if you can't get juried into that,
but see, I've never had. I mean, my best shows have always been the big shows. I've never had a really great small show.
Yeah,
Never.
Oh, really? Okay. You too, Barry?
If I had
pretty
really
much.
great small shows, I wouldn't worry about doing big shows. I just do small shows. I go where the money is. And
No,
for me,
by
the
and
money's in
large,
big
I have to
shows.
do the bigger shows, and I only need a few out of the 10 that are worth doing. So, I'd love to. Oh, if I could get into 5 of those shows. And what's funny is I was convinced this year I had 9 images. Larry did 9 of my images, and they looked great. And then the first show that I used them on was St. Armand Circle, and they put me on the wait list. So I'm going, oh no, is this gonna be the trend? So we'll see, because I'm going to use those. Hey, I'm going to use those images, and where if I get into nothing, well, then there, so that's a problem.
That's a Howard Allen show, isn't it? St. Armand.
Yes, yes.
We'll be rooting for you with those images.
Thank
Is
you.
that
Thank
is
you.
that the one where there are several different months of St. Armand's Circle?
If it's a promoter show, they have several of them. But then again, there's other shows like Rittenhouse Square that has 2 shows. And this Tennessee Craft Show has 2 shows. One's a local one. The early one's local. So
There's only one St. Armand's, isn't there?
yeah, but it's only I don't know, 9 miles, 8 miles from Sarasota.
Right, which there's
You know.
several in Sarasota.
And yeah, and then
By Howard.
and then Howard has that show 2 weeks later in Sarasota, which I would do, but it's a late night setup. It's a 3 a.m. Drop your stuff off, and set up, and I'm not doing that anymore. I think I'm doing a home show there. Somebody in the past has said, "Oh, why don't we do one at my condo or my house, and I'll invite a bunch of people." And that always works. That's always really good because they there's food, they drink a lot, and then they buy the work. They feel obligated to buy the work because I'm right there.
Yeah.
Tupperware
So-
party.
And with that, I don't have to pay a show fee, and so I just give her a piece at the end.
That's good.
Yeah.
Costs, I'm sure, a lot less than your booth cost would be.
Yeah, and hey, and Larry, about my charming personality. Here's the problem. I suffer from having done shows for a long time, so you see the progression of how they give you less and less every year and charge you more and more. Now, people that have only done those shows for 5 or 6 years don't remember when you showed up and they were so happy that you were there and they gave you there was great dinners and stuff, and when a show slowly takes all that stuff away, I remember that stuff, and then they charge money and everything's more expensive. I remember that stuff, and this is what I rail against. And if people would actually listen to what I'm saying, I'm for the artists. I'm for us, all those conditions. And here, like, I'll give you a perfect example. Like who was thinking about going on strike? Well, okay, it's the auto workers, but right now, but these sports figures go on strike, and they're like, they already do 30 million a year. What do they want? And that's because they're unified. Any group that got together and was unified in a certain way, that it pays off. And we don't want to be part of that. So as distasteful that might be, if we all got on the same page, maybe we would do better. Like have a lower booth fee. If my favorite one, which everybody likes, but nobody, is if they're charging a gate fee, we definitely should get a cut of that. The people that do the show. Everywhere else, they get a cut of the gate fee. Concerts, players get a portion of the TV money. I mean, when money's coming in, and at first, they went, "Oh, we can't give you that," blah blah blah. But it made it better for everybody.
It's
So,
not,
why,
it's not the players, it's the team owners.
Right.
Yeah.
But Barry's point, I think, is well taken, that if the reason that people are coming to the show is to buy art from us, we're the
Yes.
reason that the
Yes.
show's working.
And also we generate money for the area in tax money that they, things they buy in the places around the
Yeah,
you know
restaurants, when they come down and stay in the motels, when they go
Yeah.
shopping in the stores,
yeah,
part of
which
the
all
economy.
gets translated into tax money that they get. So we have a power. We have the power to make some minimal demands, and we don't do anything. And I
But
stopped, I try to stop complaining. I try to stop being the one, but
you see,
I just get frustrated.
where would we ever lodge that kind of complaint? When NIA existed, there at least, to some extent, there was a focus that was sort of on the same page we were, that could at least make that point with some promoters, some communities. But now, except on a case-by-case basis, how would we ever do that?
Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to have an organization of artists big enough to get everybody's attention. And
Right.
even when NAI was at its largest, it still didn't have a large enough percentage of the artists to get the show's attention and make big demands.
But when
In
they
other
had
words, the artists
annual-
weren't together. They didn't think about it as hey, if we all get together, that we can have an influence. And I mean, there's so much opposition to that. I mean, look at the Kurt Flood example. He didn't want to play for a certain team. He wanted to go somewhere else. And boy, that was, everybody, the owners controlled the teams and where you played, and that was blasphemy. And look at how it turned out. I mean, it was the best thing for them. And nobody wanted to join in with him. He was an outlaw, but he got his way. And then all of a sudden, they created an association, the Major League Baseball Players Association, and now they wield all the power because they're all on the same page. And they are on the same page because they know that everybody makes more money doing it. And we have never grasped that concept.
Why do you think it is that artists have never formed an organization to run their own art shows? Sort of like a Howard Allen, yeah. I would love to see something like that come
that's what
around.
they
What's
did.
funny about that?
That's what they did with Art in the High Desert.
That's and Long's Park. What do you think Long's Park is? Rick Faulkner did candles for a long time. He runs Long's Park. I mean, there are shows that are run by artists, and it's a unique mindset.
You think it'll ever? Just hope that it could catch on or be promoted in such a way with the artists that more artists or groups of artists would actually start either take over shows or start new shows, run them correctly, and start building more of the shows like the Cherry Creeks, the Plaza, the Main Street, the Bellevilles, the Artist Spheres. They could do
So
that.
here's the problem. If you're going to do a show like if you're an artist, you want to do a show like you want to run a show like Cherry Creek, you give up your art career.
Right.
It's a full-time job.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Right.
right.
But it's a full-time job because a lot of artists, with some exceptions, most artists either never get into those top shows or rarely get into those top shows. So if you could start an art show that would provide you that income every year, and if you grew it in the same way that a Cherry Creek or St. Louis or all those shows are able to grow themselves into big, powerful events in Des Moines and all those others, why wouldn't you want to do that?
There used to be 30 of them.
30 what?
Really good shows that like you're describing, you know. Look at Ann Arbor. Ann Arbor was, I
It was
mean,
powerful, yes.
you could, some people did 100 grand when that 100 grand would be 200 grand in today's dollars, or like the 10 grand I did would be 20 to 25, and I won't see that at a show, you know. But it still could be if they did it the same way they ran, you know, people ran it before. But you always get a new director, and they know better. They want to do it their way, and sometimes it's better to do it the old way.
And do you think is there any door open for a group of artists, say, to form a co-op and say, we're going to set up, we think we know how to do this. Our experiences overall from all the shows that we've done, we have good ways to approach all kinds of problems. We can do this. And then this will be our company.
Naya tried it.
Yeah.
They
You
thought
know,
about
David Bjorstrom did a really good job, but he's saying that, you know, he doesn't know. I mean, he's going to have to give up one or the other, or at least a portion of it, because it's one show. You got a whole year to do stuff. So there's downtime, so you could do shows during those downtimes. But he was talking about not having the time to do it, and he did a really good job as a director. So and I don't think he got paid much or got paid at all. So it starts with figuring out how to get some income so that you can pay the director, so that they can do that without, you know, so they can stop doing some shows and maintain their income.
What if the artists don't become the directors rather than hiring somebody? They actually become the directors of the shows themselves.
Yeah, well, but there are shows that are all volunteers, even or they hardly pay the directors. I mean, we don't know which ones pay a lot. Well, I know a couple, but you know,
and we have the example of Howard Allen. I mean, Howard's not a not-for-profit. Howard is definitely a for-profit organization.
Yeah, well,
Neander's
that's
a
right.
for-profit organization.
Well, they all are. All those promoters are.
Yeah, so they don't have to be set up as not-for-profits. There are advantages, yes, for some fundings, but there's also a lot of advantages to being for-profit. I'm just wondering why artists haven't done that. Say, let's form a for-profit organization, 2 or 3 artists. We have great experience. We've encountered lots of problems. We know good solutions, and then start making, instead of doing the art shows and beating themselves up, start saying that.
Yeah, you know, I had this conversation with Barry Witt, who ran the 3 Bonita shows and made a lot of money. And he said to me, "Hey, this is a really easy thing to do. You don't have to do that much. You contract to the street. You take in $400 per artist. You have 200 artists. That gives you X amount of dollars, and then you go to the local community and get sponsors. That gives you more money to underwrite the show, and you can do pretty well." He was telling me you can do pretty well without a whole lot of work. So
yeah, and if you do it correctly and you start building a reputation, the reputation will grow, and
only gets
everything
better.
else, the promotion, the corporate sponsors, the artists applying, all goes up, as we've seen with the shows that work. I'm just surprised more artists aren't trying to do this, because the door's wide open with all the.
Yeah, I wish I had done it 30 years ago.
You think you're too old to do it?
Yeah.
Why? You got all that experience.
I'll be 74 in a week.
Well,
Next
happy birthday
Wednesday.
in a week. Yeah.
Thank you.
But you're not that old. And your experiences.
What do you mean? Jimmy Buffett just died at 76. They're dropping
Yeah.
like flies, you know?
Yeah, but well, there's been a lot of people who have been dying at 95 and 97 of late. So you got a lot of years left, or
Yeah,
94.
but then I'd have to move and everything, which I
No.
want to do anyway. Yeah, I could do it, but yeah. I don't want to do anything. I don't even want to do my work. I don't even want to do any art fairs. You know what I want to do? I have baseball cards that have been sitting in boxes for 40 years and they're pristine. And it's like I bought them and just stuck them in these baseball card boxes and or sports cards. And I'm starting to look and I'm going, oh my God, I have a second year Wayne Gretzky card. I look up the price, you get like 20, if it's a gem mint card, it's $3,000. I mean, I'm going to start just looking through what I have and selling stuff on eBay, and maybe I'll get lucky and find a really expensive card.
I think that would be great. That'd
I
be
know I
great.
have some. You know, in fact, the first card I looked, because you do a search and it goes to eBay, and the very first card I looked at, it said $500,000, and I went, what? But that's just somebody who just posted that. They're not going to get that money. They just posted that. Everybody else is selling the card for $10 or $100. And I'm going, oh, I got a $500,000 card. No, but it could happen maybe.
It could. And you never know till you go look.
There's a real racket. They do these things called breaks. I've been dipping into the sports card market, looking at it because it's just gone crazy. They have these things called breaks, and you buy a spot. Like they'll have a 1960, like it's coming up, a 1967 Topps pack. There's 12 cards. There's 20. Actually, they have two packs, and it's $1,100 to join it. They've almost filled up. You get four cards. Okay, and the way they push it is, well, if you get the Mickey Mantle card, it's it's $200,000 plus to sell it. Okay, so that's the hook. But I remember buying cards. I mean, like in the early '60s, uh, Ted Williams was card number one, and
Right.
I bought hundreds of packs, and I never got a Ted Williams one. So it's enticing, and these people are enticed to buy a slot in this, and you end up getting four cards. So for that one pack, they're getting about $12,000
Whoa.
in total for that, and I mean it's a racket. It's unbelievable. Tops does this thing, and who's going to get a Mickey Mantle card? I mean, it's 1 out of 300 or something. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
But it's better than the lottery though. But anyway, you buy a lottery ticket. This is, except the lottery ticket
Yeah.
doesn't cost $1,100. You know, so it's kind of interesting. Tops has like it's exploded. They come up with these different sets for each year, and there's three levels. There's the base level, and then there's the mid level called Chrome, and then on the top level, it's called there's Bowman Chrome, and uh, and there it's like $3 a card just to buy a pack of cards. Anyway, at Walmart you buy, I think it was $39 for you got 24 cards, so whatever that was. Anyway, uh but they have this thing where they'll put the box or the case on their website. They have this rolling thing that when they introduce the thing, and they have X amount and they'll sell out. The first one to it will buy it. So in 2 hours, some of these things sell out. So if you're into the business, you got to check every day. But I was thinking, this certain set of cards, the Bowman Chrome 2023. If you buy it from Tops, it's $264, but the secondary market it's $400, $500. So I was thinking, instead of buying individual cards and hoping that I get a great card, why don't I just buy the cases? You
Flip
buy a case of cards and you get 12 in a case. And if I can make $200 on each case, on each box, I'm doing great, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's how I would do it, but I'm considering it, considering it.
You could call up an art show and say, I'm not coming. Right?
That's, well, that downtime, this is what I can be doing,
Yeah.
Hey, bring on COVID again, where I can't go anywhere. This is great. This is what I'm gonna do. But right now, in the supplies, because you have to put them in these. They're called penny sleeves, and that goes inside a plastic thing that protects the card. So you got to buy all this stuff, and there's another racket called grading, and it's like $20 to grade a card, unless you got a really expensive card, and then they'll take more money from you. So to be able to get the big bucks, you have to have it graded. So this is this whole racket with these cards, and but I'm just hoping that when I look through my cards, that I find, if I got Michael Jordan, it's Michael Jordan in hockey, it's Gretzky and Mario Lemieux, and maybe Charles Barkley, and I could have those cards. I don't know, because I just stuck them in these boxes. So I might have I know that I have the Gretzky cards, because I put those separately 35 years ago. They were going to go up then. So and they're pristine, because I put them in little things to protect them. So maybe I'll find some really good ones.
We'll be rooting for you to find some good ones.
You know what else you could do,
Just think
Barry?
about-
What?
You can buy a bucket of sand that has gold in it, and then you actually pan through the bucket of sand and get your gold. Now you might find a big nugget, you might find nothing.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, but the difference here is I already have the cards. I don't have to buy them. So, and the other thing is, if I buy a case, I don't have to do any of the grading. I could just sell the boxes that are in the case, which are factory sealed. So, that's just buying wholesale and selling retail. It's kind of like what we do, except we make it.
Or you could be one of these people. I've seen these things online lately where people are buying regular sand. They go to Lowe's or Home Depot, and supposedly there's gold in it. And so they go and then they pan all this bag of sand and get this gold out of it.
No.
And is there really gold in some of them?
Now I'm talking about two different things. One of them is these people are just going to Home Depot or Lowe's and buying bags of sand.
But they think there's gold in it. Do any of them find gold in it?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, it's just a minuscule amount. But then there's another company that actually sells you sand, dirt, gravel from like Alaska or someplace that has gold. And it's supposed to have a certain amount of gold in it, but those buckets are like $1,000 a pop.
Wow. Well, my plan is that I saw a program on it. These guys go out, they get metal detectors, they go out into the Mojave Desert and wander around with their metal detector. They find meteorites, and they're worth about $6,000 to $7,000 a piece when they find a meteorite.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that's a good way to spend a weekend besides an art show.
Yeah. Bring lots of water.
There's an area in Kansas, just west of me, maybe 50, 75 miles, that they do that all the time.
Yeah.
Remember the California gold rush? How did that work out for those people?
Some of them good, but most of them not.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially that Donner Party. Yeah, that didn't look too well for them, did it?
No.
Well, everybody, I got to go. It's been a pleasure. You guys have good weekends at the shows.
It's always fun.
Always fun. Larry, thanks again for letting it run late.
All right.
Yeah. Time to go.
Time to go.
Later.
Bye. Court, good luck.
Hey, Larry, I'm going to ask Sarah if I can post that stuff on the on your page.
What stuff?
The exhibitor's guide that talks about them coming around and looking at the booths and stuff.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I want to ask Sarah before I do it.
All right. Have a good show.
Thank you. I'll see you later.
All right, bye.